Ladies and gentlemen, we are rolling. We have someone who, and this is honest, this isn't me just hyping you up, someone that I've wanted on this podcast for a very, very long time. For longer than I've been getting told I should have him on the podcast. Like,
Oh, man.
I've brought people on, and they've been like, have you worked with Philip Lindsay before? And I'm like, I've watched his videos. Does that count? And they're like, no. But I've been getting told by almost every person I've had on the podcast, not only knows you, but also is like, you two have like the right dynamic where it's like the two like ADHD men who are just like talk about God knows what. But ladies and gentlemen, we have an absolute powerhouse in the TikTok teacher creator community. Philip Lindsay, he's a stand-up comedian, TikTok teacher. He's got 1 million followers across platforms. Sick. He's been all over the map, and I'm super, super excited to have him here. Philip, who asked for this podcast?
Well, Tyler, the number of people that asked for this podcast is equivalent to the amount of Riz that my students say that I have. And
Zero. Big old goose egg. I like that. I like that. You're thinking outside the box for that one. No, I love it. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So, first off, I get this wrong on like a momentary basis. I have never been a good judge of people's ages because for my whole life, people have been like, okay, Tyler, I'm looking at a picture of him. He's either 40 or 14. And I've experienced it for myself. So I know that like ultimately it's not always insulting, but I've come to realize that I want people to know my age, and I want to get better at it because I'm terrible at it.
Oh, yeah.
For you, I don't want to be wrong. You have like the energy and the connection to the generations that you teach that makes me think you're like 25, but then also you just like present as like an adult, which I think I can't really like understand because I can't grow a beard. But how old are you?
I'm 30. Yeah.
30?
30. Class of 2012, baby.
What friggin' water are you drinking? Jesus Christ.
Well, thank
you. Good for you.
You should see me without the beard. I look like 18.
I was going to say, listen, young faces are coming back.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay. So
yeah, and that's the thing is it's like, I graduated, oh Christ, I graduated.
2015? 2014?
I graduated high school in 2015.
Okay. Cool.
Undergrad 2019. Yeah. Jesus,
yeah.
I just like kind of blacked out on my whole life for a second there. But no, I mean, I shit you not. I have had this experience my entire life where when I was in high school, I looked like I was in elementary school. When I was in college, I looked like I was in middle school. And it was a shame because those are like those really constructive years where it's like if you look a little older, you are going to thrive as an individual. But I'm in college. I'm in college, like going out with my friends, and it looks like I'm like walking to the mall with my dad. And it's like, it's kind of a shame because I'm like, no, I'm like 6 months older than him. I swear to God, I'm an adult, but I will say, if it were the reversal where in college, I looked like I was this like 30-year-old guy.
Yeah.
I think that at this point in my life, I would have been more pissed off because like, I'll take looking young now.
Yes. 100%.
And all of the harm that came from like people being like, are you 17? Me getting ID'd at bars now. And I'm like, dude, come on. Am I coming in here ordering like a giant daiquiri? No, I'm ordering a beer because I've had a long day. Okay, like, what do you want me to do?
28, okay.
Yeah. But have you experienced that? Are people like super thrown off by like how old you might be?
Yeah, they are. And then I have a kid, but he's not like super old. He's like only 4.5. And so I didn't have a kid until I was a little bit older. I mean, not that much older. And so they're always like, oh, you have a 4-year-old, you must be 24. I'm just like, no, I had a whole career before I was a teacher. So that's the other thing too, is I tell people I'm a 3rd-year teacher and they're like,
what was the career before being a teacher?
I was actually a youth pastor for like 8 or 9 years.
Oh.
So I worked with middle schoolers and high schoolers in that setting for a while.
I have to edit some of these jokes. Jesus.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Awesome. I was like, all right, well, let me tell you what I was doing before I was a teacher. I was basically the opposite of a youth pastor. Oh shit. That's so bad. Oh, that's bad. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Tell me about the before and during. I want to hear the whole lineage.
That's what I did for my whole adult life was I was a youth pastor for a long time, until about 3 years ago, and transitioned out of that to teaching. Knew that I wanted to still work with kids. I've known that I wanted to work with middle schoolers, high schoolers for since I was a middle schooler, probably. Was like,
did you ever work with elementary school?
No.
Don't.
No, they're. I'll hold.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's wild.
There, fewer middle schoolers still pick their nose. Still happens, but in elementary school,
I was teaching high school. I was teaching high school for a minute, and they pick their nose. They pick their nose. They pick their ass. They pick everything they can find. Every crevices. Oh my god, dude! I've caught a kid dude. It's like third knuckle deep in his nose, and I'm looking at him, and this is an adult. This is an 18-year-old senior in high school.
Gosh.
This dude, I look over, he's like this, and I'm like, how are you not in pain? Like you're basically you're in your throat at that point. When does it become painful? You know,
I had a girl. I was teaching a lesson, just teaching. And I caught eyes with her. She locked eyes with me. And she's like this. And she's like mortified. And I'm like, so I look at her. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give her, like in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to give her a chance to get her finger out of her nose. And so I turn back to the board. And then I look back and she's still just like that.
You're a good person. You're a good person.
Just frozen. Terrifying.
You see, you're better than me. I would have been like, no, stop it. But I think what's funny, like, I think what I've noticed, and we're going to get into like the differences between teaching like different ages because people's takes on it is goddamn hilarious. But I think one thing that I've noticed a lot is that kids will try. So they don't have any level of shame anymore. It's gone.
No.
Shame doesn't exist anymore. No. Like when I was in middle school and high school, in fairness, I went to an all-guys private high school. We would basically like shit. Yeah. Oh yeah. No. We would shit our pants. We would shit our pants in class and then like high five about it. But in middle school, homie, I looked like Harry Potter's like less successful cousin. It was bad. If I ever farted during class accidentally, I would drop out of 8th grade so fast. You'd never see me again. But dude, I had these kids, so you've probably seen this sort of like trend on social media somewhere because it's hilarious watching it, but when you're in the moment, it's not. Where they try to like, they drop the book and they try to cover it. Basically, but the thing is, they do it in this like hyperbolized fashion where they purposefully don't do it on time. So they're sitting in class and they're sitting there and then they're like. And I'm like, yo,
seen the
you missed the
Family Guy episode? The Family Guy episode where Peter has to go to night driving school. You ever seen that one?
Listen, I probably have, but
it's a ticket. He has to go to nighttime driving school, and he goes, "Man, I have to fart." He says it out loud, and then he goes, It's just that's what I think of every single time I see those videos.
I'm gonna add that clip. When I clip this for TikTok and Instagram, I'm gonna add that little bit into it. No, and like I think one thing that I'm gonna say this lovingly. I think what made me a fantastic teacher and the worst choice to be in the classroom with students is the fact that I find them to be so goddamn funny.
Oh, they're hilarious.
It's a problem. They're hilarious. When a kid does this thing where he drops a book and then 50 seconds later he shits his pants.
Yes.
The problem is I'm back there. My head looks like a cherry because I'm trying to hold back this laugh. And like the kids around are like, it's your job to not laugh because you can't. You're not allowed to laugh right now.
I do every single time. I had a kid. I had a kid my first year teaching. Legit every day, such a bad smell that the whole class would be like swearing off in the corner, like "What the is going on?" Like so bad, like covering their nose. And this kid, I kid you not, the only thing that worked to get him to stop farting in class was I had to tell him to make it a game and say to whisper fart pass every time he had to fart and run out into the hallway to fart. And it became this game. Like I'm in the middle of the teaching and everybody's just on the edge of their seat waiting for fart pass. And to watch this kid just bolt out of
so he can go into the hallway and take kids out like flies. Are you kidding me? That's chemical warfare, brother. That's not fair.
Man.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so I wanna ask you something.
Yeah.
Actually, what do I want to ask you first? This is the thing about having ADHD and just having no ability to plan anything. Like you saw it. I sent you the invite for this podcast 15 minutes ago. Like nothing's really planned.
My mic when I was getting onto the podcast for the first time today, wondering if
Listen,
it was
I'm with
work.
it. I'm with it. I'm all for it. There's nothing I love more than someone who agrees like this shit's not going to be perfect, but we're going to have a good ass time. It's going to be 100%. Fun. So I want to start off with the teaching different grades idea. And this is something that I'm curious about because I have my own opinions on it. But when I was getting into teaching, I got a job teaching. So I got 2 different degrees. I did a double major in secondary education and English because you need a degree in the content you're going to teach. And if you can get the education degree, you have a better chance of like making enough money so that you don't have to like, panhandle. But I got those 2 degrees, but then, literally, or start making TikTok content. God bless TikTok. So when I got those degrees, I was working sort of like part-time at a nearby school, this like Catholic school right down the road, which ultimately ended up being my first job. I graduated and they were like, you look like you need a job and you look like you want a master's degree. We need a teacher. And they're like, if you come and teach for 2 years, we'll help you with your master's degree and we'll give you a job. You'll have a salary, you'll do your master's degree and it'll be dope. And I'm like, oh my God, I hit the gold mine. I can get this master's degree for free. I can teach. I can do what I've wanted to do. The job that they gave me, buckle up. The job that they gave me was called Stream and Writing.
Stream?
You want to know what STREAM stands for? It's not about rivers. Science, technology, religion, engineering, arts, math.
All of them.
And writing. I taught those contents. You want to know why they added the and writing? Because you know this. Because when you're in your first couple of years of teaching, you need to be working towards your professional license. So they're like, how can we get this poor kid to do the polar opposite of what he's trained to do while also working towards something so that the state thinks that he's a competent teacher? They added on and writing so that it was technically me working towards my professional English teacher license.
Oh my gosh.
Here's the kicker. They gave me that job, so Stream and Writing, all those contents, for K2 through 6th grade.
Did they put the kids in the same room?
No. So across the week, I would meet with all of those different classes for 30 minutes a day. It was mental. It was the craziest thing. And the funny thing is that everything about my job, except for the and writing, was not legally there. Nothing about it. Like, kids are like, should you be in this class? And I was like, no, I shouldn't be teaching this. I'm like learning about the mitochondria while I'm teaching it. I'm like, shit, that's the powerhouse of the cell, huh? And they're like, it really is, Mr. J. So like I'm like learning this stuff in the morning before teaching it to these poor kids and probably teaching it wrong if we're being real about it. But the reason I bring all this up is because I did that job with elementary school kids for the first 4 years, and then my 5th year I had this substantial job.
You did that
up
for
to
4
11th
years.
and 12th. I did that for 4. So I did the Stream and Writing for 2, and then I did humanities for 2. So social studies and English together. I have legitimately taught everything. like everything barring, I don't know, Spanish. I should not be teaching any language whatsoever. I can barely even do English.
I was a dummy, an idiot, and I took German in high school because I was like, yeah, that'll be helpful. And then I
Wie
moved
geht's?
to Arizona. It's like Spanish would have been ideal for me.
Yeah, no, Spanish would have been Spanish.
It's
Do you
like
still know any German?
Here. It's like, okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
11,
Right?
12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
All I know is 10. I went to Germany for the first. So I went to Europe for a month in Germany. In Weimar, Germany was like my home area. So I wanted to learn enough German so that I could find out where the toilet is if I'm about to shit myself, and how to order multiple beers. So it's like I actually don't remember how to say bathroom now. So hopefully I don't go back. But like ein Bier bitte, we're good. We're good. We're living the dream, you know, like guten Tag, guten Morgen, guten Abend, like we're golden. Okay, so there was a point here. Oh, so I had like this huge switch from teaching elementary school everything up to teaching 11th and 12th grade English. And people ask me all the time, they're like, which grade do you like more? And there's no answer to that question because it fully depends on the day. My best day with elementary school students will never be better than my best day with high schoolers. But also, like, a typical day with high schoolers is very, very different from a typical day with elementary school kids. And here's how I put it, and then I want to know how you, like, your take on it. The way that I've explained it to people is it depends on what you're cool with. Are you cool with a shitload of little problems, or are you better off with a couple big problems every now and again? Because with elementary schoolers, every 2 seconds it's like, she stole my crayon, and I'm like, homie, you're holding the crayon, I'm looking at it in your hand. But then with high school, it's like we're cool for a whole month. And then I worked in a Title I school and a turnaround school in Boston Public. It was a very rough environment. Like, we had a 105 kid brawl between like 2 rival gangs. We had like some stuff going on. But then like that'll happen, blood will be shed, and then everybody will be chill. For like 2 months, and then it'll be Christmas time, and we're all like singing and dancing to Kelly Clarkson. And then like 2 months later, like somebody will die in the hallway. And so that's the thing is it's like it's about what you can really enjoy. Can you enjoy a bunch of little shit that's annoying, or can you enjoy a couple massive problems? But for you said middle school and high school. I've taught 6th grade. I've never done like a traditional middle school classroom. What do you think between middle school and high school? What are like the major differences?
Well, the way that you describe it is the beginning of middle school is elementary school. The end of middle school is that cusp of high school. And so it's like you get, like, for me, so I teach all 3 grade levels. So so I'm special education math. So I'm in co-taught classes in all 3 grade levels, and I've got my own 2 classes that cover all 3 grade levels. So I get to see all of it. And it's hilarious because it's like first semester 6th graders I don't ever like working with.
That's completely
Second semester 6th graders are amazing, and first semester 7th graders are amazing. So it's like that one little block, and then you get this weird window of like second semester 7th through first semester 8th, where they're like 8th graders now. They're not. I'm too cool for everything. You're so cringe kind of thing. But then second semester 8th graders, they have this moment where it's like, I'm going to be a freshman next year, especially in math. It's like, I've got to pass freshman algebra if I don't buckle down. And so they turn into these just like, I'm like studious, like I got to catch up or whatever. And I love, like, that is my, like, that's the sweet spot. Second semester 8th graders is like the sweet spot. And then second semester 6th graders, first semester 7th graders. I'm like,
that makes sense.
The other stuff, I'm like,
that definitely makes sense. I feel like when I was teaching 6th grade, it's a really, really interesting moment in like the development, like just as like a human being. It's very, very different because like the school that I worked in, obviously it's co-ed, there are girls and boys at the same time. And I think 6th grade is a really funny year because I stand by this. I genuinely believe that in terms of life, women are like a year and a half ahead of men just in general, you know? And sixth grade is really funny because like girls are starting like all of these situations with like hormones and they're going through it with like every part of their life. And then boys are like literally the equivalent of like a chair in the room. Where in sixth grade, I think when I was teaching fifth and sixth grade, you notice a substantial difference between fifth grade and sixth grade. And I was lucky enough to teach the same students for years on at a time. So we were like this the whole time.
Yep, exactly.
But in fifth grade, the boys are psychotic.
Yes.
And the girls are all very, very loving. They just like, they're so happy to be there. They love you. They're drawing you pictures. They're like giving you hugs and they're so happy to be there. Then they become sixth graders. And the boys just become these like moments, like, right? I feel like they go one of two ways. They either become like beanbag chairs or like athletes. And you never know which way they're going to go. But then the girls, for the love of Christ, the girls start going through the most difficult hormonal imbalance of their entire lives. And as a teacher, you're like playing goalie so that this girl doesn't like rip your throat out. But then at the same time, it's all about how you approach it, you know? Like with me, I'm like, listen, I'm not going to be that one teacher who's like, I got tampons in my, you know, no. However, I tell them, I'm like, listen, if you're having a rough day, just let me know, put your head down, you're cool. As long as we're on the same page, we're cool. But with the boys, my biggest problem in sixth grade was like, why are you watching Friday Night at Freddy's or Friday Frankie, I don't know, whatever the hell FNAF is.
I think you nailed it.
Right? I'm like, why are you watching that during class? And the kid's like, I don't know. And I'm like, shut it off. And they're like, okay. And we're good. So that's the thing that was so funny is that in that 1 year from fifth grade to sixth grade, they become totally different people.
Yeah.
So middle school is an interesting time to be a teacher. Why did you decide before you got into teaching, did you know that you wanted to go middle school?
Yeah, I've always been drawn to middle schoolers. So I did a lot, like in my undergrad, I did a lot of just like adolescent psychology, adolescent development, like that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And I actually, my senior project in my undergrad was a generational study, next gen. Like at that time, it was Gen Z that was going to kind of be the middle schoolers and high schoolers. Just what are they like?
Oh, shit.
All that stuff. So that's no longer relevant. But it is a unique time in life where, so they go from this very concrete way of thinking, like literally in their brains, like concrete, to all of a sudden their brain has the capacity to start comprehending like abstract concepts and the right and wrong conversation, the what am I going to do with my life conversation, the level that you're able to kind of develop those things with them. The roof kind of gets blown, the ceiling gets blown off of that, and all of a sudden it's not, we don't touch, we don't hit our friend because it's unkind. It's like, and it's not just something you say, it's like, no, let's talk about what you're doing to somebody else when you inflict some kind of pain on them, either physically, emotionally,
100%.
with your words, whatever. And I just love that, like, I get to catch them on the beginning of that. Right. And kind of set. So, I mean, that's why I'm drawn. And I think they're freaking hilarious. And I think they're so weird. But I was so weird in middle school. Like, people liked me, I think, or I was just annoying. I don't know which one.
I was the same way, where I was like, people really love me, and everyone like it like cuts to an interview with them, and they're like, I hate that kid. Like, what are you talking about?
You won't shut up.
He's literally like the most annoying little Harry Potter cosplay I've ever seen.
Right? And it's like this. I don't know. What I desired so bad in middle school was just like, let me be myself. I'll do my stuff. I'll do what I'm supposed to do. But just like, if I'm interested in that, I want to talk about it, and I want to be myself, and I want to have fun, and I want to feel okay about that.
Yeah.
And I didn't in middle school. I didn't feel okay about it. And so if I can create an environment in a classroom where, whether it's the weird kid or the sports kid or the whatever, where they all feel like they can just vibe and be who they are and care about their interests, because I'm like setting up that kind of environment. That's the other thing for me. It's like, let's and be successful at something. So like math's a big deal for me.
100%.
So,
but that's the thing is, it's like you're teaching a group of students who need that level of acceptance and understanding more than like almost anyone ever.
Yeah.
Like that's what I noticed when I moved up to high school. When I moved up to high school, I was like, okay, I had like this really shitty situation with a couple of teachers where they're warning me about students, and I'm like, dude, I get it. I trust a veteran teacher. They've done things that I've never done and probably will never do. And they've seen through so many generations of kids. They do know what they're talking about. They know their shit.
Yeah.
But I also am of the mindset where the student that you had a year ago could very well be a different person. You don't know what's happened in their life to change who they are fundamentally. So don't tell me how they were last year, or at least give it that like side note of saying like, last year they had some struggles, so just keep an eye out for it, but they're probably moving ahead. You know?
If you're gonna say something like that, then you gotta give me something to go on. Like if I have a student and the teacher comes to me like, hey, I know you had this student last year, tell me about them. If I'm gonna mention anything about what they struggle with, I'm also going to include, and here's what worked really well for them in my class. I'm not
exactly
like you're the teacher. They're in your classroom. Let's work on solutions, because talking, that kid, oh man, like that's just not that's not.
And also for me, and I really don't want this to like make it seem like I'm a doubter in the opinions of teachers who have been doing this forever, because the fact of the matter is, you know what you're doing. But whenever there's a student who wholeheartedly hates a teacher, my very, very first thought is, what did you do to make that kid hate? What day did they come in? Listen, and like I get so real with this, and this shit pisses me off so bad. My first thought is, how many times did that kid wake up at 4:30 in the morning to be ready at 5, to be on the bus at 5:30, to be at the school at 7:30, so that they can get here on time, so that they don't get marked up. And then they come in and they're tired because they're dealing with all this shit at night that you don't know about.
You don't know
and their head's down on the desk before class starts. And the minute that bell rings, you come down and you smack a book down on their desk and say, wake up, because you're being lazy. How many times did you do that? And how many times did you turn around and say that this student's disrespectful? Shut up.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I talk about, and I've talked about this for years just in the different settings that I've worked with students, is I talk about this idea of relational stock, right? You have to, just like if you want any kind of return on something, you have to invest in it, right? And relationally, it's the same thing. Challenge and accountability is a very difficult thing to enact effectively without causing damage if you have zero or little relational stock. And there is a level that you will literally feel it when you get to the point where you have enough relational stock with a group of kids or a single kid, where if you have to come down hard and hold the line on something, there may be a little bit of a fight, there may be a little bit of a struggle, but there will always be a respect, a mutual respect
100%
that's in that situation. And yeah, it's like you said, I don't want to doubt that either, but I think that teaching in general, and this is not what it's like where I'm at, and so I have a hard time kind of seeing that it is reality. But with what I see online, I see so much about teaching that a lot of teachers sometimes hold the perspective, it seems like my job is just to bring them in, give them the content, make them proficient in it, and send them out, where that's not really how we approach any other part of society. I mean, that's not what works anywhere else. That's not what works in good businesses. That's not what works in good families. You know what I mean? So
100%.
I just think there's this overall mindset shift. And I think there's a bitterness because a lot of teachers have been in unfortunate situations with admin that kind of use phrases like relational connection and stuff like that as scapegoats for, like I said, I've not experienced that, but I see enough of it out online that it's like, it's just kind of a bummer that what's truly the most effective thing gets weaponized. Sometimes it seems.
100%.
Yeah, which is a bummer.
I think it's funny. It almost like makes me happy to know, or it makes me happy to hear you say that the school that you're in, you don't know what this looks like. Like, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I've been, oh my Christ, have I been in a couple of schools. But like, I think one thing that's one of the most decaying properties of education is a lack of ability to move along with the generation that you're teaching. You know, a lack of willingness to like make the change in yourself. Because the thing is, I'll never not be born in 1996.
Yep.
Never. However, I have a choice of whether or not I'm going to understand the students who are following me on TikTok, sitting in my classroom, seeing me on the street and saying hi. I have a choice of understanding their situation. And if I show that I'm willing to do that, the reward for that risk is incalculable. You can't even start to understand the love that these kids have for people who are willing to try and like work towards being their best self for these kids. And the number one, I've said this on so many goddamn podcasts on so many different levels. There is one educator she's the head of the education department at Emmanuel College where I went to school. Okay. Her name is Sister Karen Hokinson. She is the closest thing to Jesus Christ on earth that I have ever seen.
That's awesome.
Okay. And she's the best person I've ever met in my entire life. She has taught and principled and counselored and professored through, I believe, 40 different years of students.
It's insane.
Okay. Everything from elementary school up to adult learning. She has taught everybody. And if you asked her anything about the current Gen Alpha generation, this woman will know what's going on. She'll know the electronics necessary for them. She'll know the trends in who they are because she gives a shit about these students.
That's awesome.
And she was the person who, like I said, she ran the education department, but she was also a professor within the education department. And the first thing that she would tell me was like, I have so many students who love me. And she's like, I'm not saying that to like hype myself up. I'm saying that because it's directly correlated to the effort that I put into understanding them and getting like that tight with my students. And it takes work, you know? And that's what's kind of beautiful about like the TikTok teacher idea is because it adds this layer of like levity in the situation where it's like, that's Mr. Lindsay. Mr. Lindsay knows like he knows all these like stupid trends and dances and all this shit that's going on TikTok. Like he sees them as much as we do. Oh, it's bad. Which leads me into something I want to do with you.
Okay.
So for anyone who is watching this and might not have had the opportunity to see Philip Lindsay's content yet, one of the things that Mr. Lindsay very proudly puts on social media is an awareness of Gen Alpha slang.
Yes.
So what I have for you, there are two things that are call outs to your content, which I think are absolutely amazing. If you don't watch his content yet, that's the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go watch his content because it's amazing for two reasons. I'm going to start off with saying I put my coffee into a mug specifically for you because you do this thing where you'll do all your storytelling, you'll do all your content, but for Christ knows what reason, and I know what reasons because it's awesome, he'll have this mug completely filled to the absolute brim. Like Isaac Newton is like, homie, that's too full. And like, this is not full. I've been drinking this whole time. He will, like, I don't even feel comfortable doing it with like a half empty mug. He'll just be whipping the thing around like this, just like talking with his hands like an Italian, just going nuts. Okay. And this thing will be at the tip top filled. Is it hot coffee?
Oh, it's hot. It's fresh.
Oh, you're psychotic. You're psychotic.
Yeah. That's the motivation I need, though.
No, there's a puffy room and some sticky socks waiting for you because that's crazy. That's something that, dude, I don't know if it's like a cognitive trick, but if it's a cognitive trick, it works because my ADHD ass is like watching your videos. That's one thing that I gotta say. I love it.
It's like I need the information but I can't watch the coffee, and they're watching their screen like this. I love trolling people that like the first couple comments like the coffee, and I'll just be like, what coffee? That's like my favorite thing to do is just comment back.
You just like don't even know it's there, and it's beautiful. That has nothing to do with what I want to do right now, but I see that on your videos, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this guy's got to be on like America's Got Talent or some shit. But what I do have for you is a little vocab quiz.
All right, here we go.
I'm gonna give you 10 Gen Alpha slang words.
Okay.
All that you need to do is you need to tell me what they mean.
Okay.
In the best of your understanding.
Perfect.
Okay. And we're going to grade you. For the first time, I'm going to be your teacher and you're going to be my student. And you're going to prove to me that you know all of these Gen Alpha slang terms.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
You ready?
All right.
Okay. So I'm going to have a list out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Are you ready for number 1?
I'm ready for number 1.
All right. Term number 1, skibbity.
Skibbity. Okay. See, it's hard. Okay, with Gen Alpha, here's the hard thing about it is vocab usually starts in a meme and means nothing and then gets meaning at some point. So skibbity's the same way. So skibbity in most contexts means something bad, something evil. Because skibbity toilet is bad, skibbity toilet is evil. However, if you string skibbity with sigma, you're talking about a different meaning here.
Dude, I didn't prepare to learn during the so this Google,
you don't want to be skibbity.
This definition from Fox 5 News says I hate that intro. This says a word can mean good, bad, or cool. It's named after the YouTube series Skibbity Toilet. When used as Skibbity Toilet, it's a negative connotation. When used with sigma, it's a good connotation. Ladies and gentlemen, we're 1 for 1. That's beautiful.
Me? Is that where they got the information from?
Apparently, I think they did. Honestly, with your definition for skibbity, you covered like 6 other like terms. So we're gonna do 5 of them, and this is gonna be great. Are you ready?
Yes.
Term number 2, Riz.
Riz. Okay. Riz. It's basically the modern day equivalent of game. Like if you have game. People say it comes from charisma, and that's where it originates. I'm not fully convinced that's where it actually comes from. I know Kai Cenat used it a lot on his like YouTube streams and like that kind of thing. That's where it really started. But the best thing about Riz is that one's pretty timeless now. It's like the new, like they don't even say pickup lines anymore. They say Riz lines. So I like 100%. That one a lot. But yeah, charisma, game, the ability to flirt with the whoever you're interested in, I guess.
So I don't know if you like Googled this when I the moment that I started looking up the contest. This says Riz, short for charisma, ability to flirt.
Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 for 2. I am very impressed and horrified. I'm ready to go. All right. Okay, on to number 3. What does the term gyat mean?
Yeah, okay. Those kids, man, they almost, so this is actually the word. This is the word that made me decide to start doing what I do.
Really?
Yes, this is it. This is the word because we were doing these things called social contracts in our school where we put words up on the poster and we all agree that's how we're going to operate in our classroom, right?
Sure.
And these kids were having teachers put GYAT because they were telling them that it stood for get your act together, when in reality, gyat is a big butt. And so every time I walked into a classroom and they'd be like, Mr. Lindsay, look, gyat's on there, get your act together. And I'm like, that is not what it means. I know based on how they're talking. That was the word that blew this thing wide open for me. And I was like, I got to figure this out. So it originates from when you see a big butt, traditionally, I'm not saying I do this, right? You might exclaim, gyat damn, okay? So that's where the term comes from, the shortened version of the gyat part. And then it went from like an expression of like, gyat, I saw a big butt, to now it's like noun form, right? You were English It's now a thing.
Sure.
A person, place, or a thing.
It's now a tangible item.
Yes. It is an item, and it is a big butt.
I mean, this says slang for a large derriere. So, ladies and gentlemen, 3 for 3. Two more. Two more. Okay. I want to find one. I want to find one that you haven't, like, you're such a Gen Alpha teacher, because, like, I'm in explaining one, you're giving me like a dictionary of Gen Alpha lingo that I wasn't even planning on bringing up. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Term number 3. Phantom tax.
Okay, phantom tax. So phantom tax is another Kai-Cenat thing. He is like, he makes words trend, right? There's 100%. A new one, Huz, happening, that he's also the responsible party for making it.
That's like females who are flirty, right?
Yeah,
there we go. Okay, got it.
The new version of the host. And they're trying to tell you, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. But then they have chuz, which is chopped huz, and chopped means ugly. And so it's really offensive.
Oh,
yeah. So,
Jesus.
And then, but then they have the number of times that I had a kid walk up to, I'm not even answering the question. The number of times that I had a kid walk up to me today and call me gruz, which stands for grandpa hose or old people hose. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
No.
The gruz, dude.
No.
And then they're starting Cuz, which is teacher. So yeah, it's out of control. So we got to rein that one in. But
I didn't even know about any of this. Oh my God.
This one's like, this is the hot one right now. This is started like mid-November, and now it's really picking up. But
okay.
Phantom tax comes from Kai-Cenat. What he would do is he would go into like he'd make videos of like going into his buddies, like they're all hanging out eating food or whatever, and he would just run in and just like snatch the food out of their hands and like run away with it and scream phantom tax while he's doing it. So a phantom tax is just like randomly taking somebody's shit, just like phantom taxed it, right? So either in a literal sense, sometimes in an abstract sense, like they'll like I don't know, they don't use this one very well.
I was gonna say, because it's like wordy when you say it in a sentence.
Yes.
But your definition from Fox 5 News says phantom tax is stealing food from a friend.
Yep.
4 for 5. 4 for 5. I'm very, very impressed. All right. Let's see. Oh, all right. I know exactly where we're going for this last one. Your final term in the No One Asked for This podcast spelling bee is mewing.
Mewing. M-E-W-I-N-G. So mewing. Mewing is so unique because it's like, it's got a big history, but basically it's a medical, it's not medical. It's
sure.
People say that if you stick the tongue to your roof of your mouth and you swallow and you kind of get like, you kind of tighten your jaw, that's going to like work on your jawline and get rid of your double chin. Right. That's why
I just became like,
you should be mewing. And
God.
And it's supposed to like tighten your face up and your jawline, whatever. Okay. So that's like that's been around for a while. It's the practice of mewing. However, it started trending when it's like kind of that, I don't know, it's in the same realm of like Sigma, Giga-Chad, like that whole realm where
Giga-Chad,
dude, the ultimate.
The hell's a Giga-Chad?
It's the ultimate Chad, and the Chad is like the ultimate gym bro.
Oh Jesus, this is how I know. It was never middle school. It was so never middle school. But go ahead. This is so beautiful.
Mewing is that practice. Now that starts trending where they start talking about like their mew streak, like working on their jawline, and mogging is similar to mewing.
Okay.
So I won't even go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, mewing, when you do it, there's the mew face where you kind of do this. Right? In essence, what that means is, what it ended up meaning after it started trending was, I'm working on my jawline. I can't talk to you right now. And it's kind of this like disrespectful diss of like, I'm not answering right now. You're not worth my time. Or somebody's yapping a little bit too much and you hit them with, bro, like whatever. Okay. Or in the mogging sense, it's kind of like, I'm better than you. I'm physically appear more attractive than you. I just mocked you with the.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Fox 5 New York says that mewing is training a jawline.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as meaning that something looks good. So, ladies and gentlemen, with a perfect A+ 100%, Philip Lindsay,
Thank you.
you have earned your status as the
CEO of Brain Rot Academy, man.
Brain Rot was on this list. I just knew that you knew it too easily, so I just didn't even try. You have earned your status as the Giga-Chad of Gen-Alpha teachers. Jesus, listen, I'm ready for it. Okay, listen, Phil, this was awesome. I can already see the comments being like, "Come on, round 2 with Mr. Lindsay. Let's do it." But no, I'd love for you to let everyone know where they can find you, what you're up to, just all the stuff that's going on with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. If anybody old is watching, no offense. Sorry.
I'm on Facebook, so we can just be old.
So those are the 3 places you can find me just by searching up Mr. Lindsay. And then I actually just started my YouTube about a month ago. So we're getting everything rolling over there.
Hell yeah.
I'm working on a series right now. I posted my first one yesterday, Brain Rot Math Lessons. And so I'm doing 6th, 7th, 8th grade math concepts using either brain rot word problems to kind of decipher and teach it, or just using some of the language to define it and explain it.
Dude, you're going to be the next Khan Academy. That's crazy. Oh my God, that's sick, actually. I love that.
I'm pretty excited. So I put my first one out there. That's my longer form, I guess. And so I'll be kind of working on that in addition to just the normal stuff that I do.
That's dope. That's awesome. And then what about stand-up stuff? How are we feeling there?
Yeah, so stand-up. So I'm doing a couple combo shows with Gasper Randazzo and Andrea Forcum, or Educator Andrea. We've got a combo show going on in February in Indianapolis. So if you're in Indianapolis, that show is probably about half full. It's about a month out. And then we're doing a show in Chicago, and that's almost sold out. So
damn,
a big almost 400 person venue, almost sold out. So we're
pretty excited. At you, huh?
Yeah,
well done.
Yeah. So
listen, if you want me to come by and talk shit, I'll meet you in Chicago. It'll be a good time. Listen, that's awesome. Keep going.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. No, I love it. I knew, not only because I trust the people I've talked to before, but just from seeing your content and just seeing the way that you interact with everyone that's around you, I knew this was going to be. I knew that we were going to say that we were going to do 30 minutes and then do an hour. But no, I appreciate you so much. For my own little plug, anyone who's watching this who is a teacher or knows a teacher, I started a company that's called America's Heroes Contest. We run contests specifically for now to reward teachers. We're hoping to move out to reward nurses, social workers, coaches, all these good things. But the first and second contests are specifically teachers. We're running the second contest. It is called Spring into Salary Contest at americasheroescontest.com. If you know a teacher or you are a teacher, go on to americasheroescontest.com, join a contest. You could win $5,000. The first contest was my own money. God bless. The second contest is not my money. Awesome. The third contest, there could be a little bit of a bigger prize associated that I'm not allowed to talk about yet because of contracts. But yeah, awesome. If you or anyone that you know is a teacher, I'd love for you to share this podcast with them. Tell them to watch the end of it. If they decide to watch the beginning of it, they just get the Brain Rot Central. But Philip, this was awesome. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks for having me, man.
We're on. I think we're on to something. I think we're probably gonna have to do this again. I'll come in with a list of what's the generation coming in after Gen Alpha.
Okay, so they're going to call them Gen Beta, which Gen Alpha is going to tear them apart. It's so funny.
That's so hurtful.
It's so funny. Because they're just automatically going to be seen as less than. Because
that's so
betas,
tough.
Dude.
I was expecting to be like Gen Sigma. Right? Or something like that. Okay, well,
man, the Alphas aren't going to let it happen. They're not going to let it happen.
I'll come in clutch. Maybe next time you come on, we can do like name this Gen Alpha meme, like
Memes?
what this
Oh,
is,
dude,
explain what it
the
is. We
memes,
can
bro.
100% do that.
The
All right,
memes.
buddy. We're out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, you could be anywhere, but you're here, and that's pretty sick. Absolutely no one asked for this podcast, but you decided to sit through the entire thing, so I appreciate you. I don't know what number this episode is going to be. We have so many of them coming out. It's mental, but I can't wait to see you guys on the next one. And yeah, no, we'll make it happen.
Awesome.
See you, Mr. Lindsay.
See
See
ya.
you, buddy.